Hello, good evening. This is BBC London News. The Conservatives are calling for the sacking of Margaret Hodge as the country's first children's minister, saying people could have no confidence in her abilities to protect them. Ms Hodge was head of Islington Council during the early 1990s. During that time, it's alleged she knew of but failed to stop cases of sex abuse to the children in the council's care. Well, tonight the Shadow Children's Minister, Eleanor Lang, has called on the Prime Minister to dismiss her. In a moment, we'll ask Margaret Hodge directly why she should stay. First, our political editor, Tim Donovan, reports.
Margaret Hodge is Education Minister on a visit to a London nursery. In the early 90s, she rejected newspaper claims of widespread abuse in children's homes like this one in the borough.
I am appalled by the gutter journalism which the Evening Standard has chosen to exploit.
Only to concede later that mistakes had been made. The latest newspaper claims are not about children's homes, but centre on a report from social workers in 1990 suggesting there could be a child sex ring in part of the borough. Delivered to Mrs Hodge and others, it warned, children aged 9 to 16 years are very much at risk in this neighbourhood through sexual exploitation. We can immediately mention 14 such children, mainly under 14 years old. 13 years on, those former social workers now claim the minister knew of their serious concerns but rejected their requests for extra staff and didn't act on warnings because she wanted to protect the image of Islington Council. The Conservatives say her position as Children's Minister is now untenable.
There are hundreds of other members of Parliament who Tony Blair could choose to do this job. Why doesn't he put in someone in whom we can all have confidence?
The important thing is that you always learn from those mistakes and move on. And I actually think by learning from past mistakes, it makes you a better minister because you know what can go wrong and you know therefore what you can do to make things better.
In Islington itself, the council said today this was in the past and should remain so, but not all agreed.
Obviously there's got to be something there for people to keep accusing her of these things, and I just feel that she should be made answerable.
Margaret Hodge was a name to be reckoned with round here, and I had an impression that she was doing very well, and so I'm a little bit undecided about it.
Margaret Hodge says the press have mixed up separate sets of allegations which damage her. It's been made clear today that the Prime Minister knew the background when he gave her the job, and he's standing by her. Tim Donovan, BBC London News.
Let's go to Margaret Hodge. You've been in the post, 3 weeks. Did it surprise you, let me ask you, given everything that happened with Islington Council, when you were given this job?
I was given the job because I had had another job in government as a junior minister with responsibility for developing children's services, and I was one of the people involved in setting up the very successful Sure Start programme, where we bring together all those key services, putting children at the centre, health services, social services, education services, so that we provide the very best start for our young children. And it was my record in that gave I think led the Prime Minister to give me this opportunity. And what I would say to you is, judge me by that record in this job. I've been in the job for 2 weeks. I do feel absolutely passionately about the issue of children and ensuring that children get a good start in life.
Let me just ask,
and what I want to do is have the opportunity to demonstrate. Judge me by what I do.
Did you and the
That's
Prime
the
Minister
important
talk
thing.
about that when he brought you into his office and he said, I'm going to make you Children's Minister, not part of the Department for Education, not a part of a learning post for children, but Children's Minister? It's a very distinctive role, isn't it, Margaret Hodge? Did you discuss what had happened?
Well, let me say that the issues that have been put out in the Evening Standard over the last couple of days have been around for over 12 years, 11, 12, 15 years. They refer to things that happened, 15 to 20 years ago.
But
let me just hang on.
This post.
Hang on. You did ask me a question, and you just do me the courtesy of the reply. So in those, everybody, I think probably more than anybody else, or more than most people in politics, that record of the past has been out. And there were two particular allegations that have been around. One concerns whether or not I did the right things when there was an allegation of a paedophile ring, and I'm absolutely certain I did. What you read in your statement was just part of a memo. If you were to read the rest of the memo, you will see that in that very memo in 1990, the officer said that child protection procedures have been put into action.
Just
and
forgive
went
me for
on
coming
to
in,
say,
Margaret Hodge, because there were two claims in the Evening Standard,
Yes,
which I think what we're talking about.
yes.
The whistleblowers have come out today, and they've said that in 1990 a memo from you said that you didn't want to employ extra people and you thought this was a waste of resources given the budget. And you also said, and we heard you clearly yesterday, that this only happened at the end of your tenure in 1992, when we know that you were made aware of it at least 2.5 years earlier. These are the claims, but I don't want to go back over those grounds.
Well,
I want to
Emily, what you have said is mistaken. There are two separate issues. One was an allegation of a paedophile ring in 1990. I did know about that, and the memo referring to that says that child protection procedures were in place, that the police were engaged, and the real
that was
issue
much
there...
later. That was much later than when you were first told about it by the whistleblowers.
Emily, can I just say, you're wrong. The issue of whether or not there was a paedophile ring was one in my ward, which was raised in 1990. At that time, social workers working together with the police and other people did a very thorough investigation. There was surveillance of the house. There was interviews with all the children that went to that house. And at the end of the day, the professionals came and said that there was no evidence that substantiated the existence of a paedophile ring.
I know there will be people listening to this who think, Ms Hodge, that you're still in denial of the way you have behaved and what you said you knew about and didn't. But I want to get to the crunch here. Eleanor Lang has said it'll be very difficult for people to have confidence in your abilities looking after their children. Is it time for you to go?
Well, can I just say again that my record in government, when I had the job for developing children's services, we developed the Sure Start programme, which I think is has been one of the most successful programmes of this Labour government, giving the very best services for young children. What I now want is the opportunity, after 2 weeks in office, to get on with the job of putting in place all those services that we know, with a child at the centre, which will give a better start to young children and indeed make sure that they are safe in their homes, in their communities, on our streets.
Margaret Hodge, many thanks for your time this
Thank you very
evening.
much indeed.
We've got lots more to come on the programme, including